In the room, as those stories and memories were being shared today, was Assembly of First Nations National Chief RoseAnne Archibald. She joins me now from Kamloops. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, these stories are not new, but being there in that moment, what was running through your mind when you heard these raw and emotional accounts?
Well, Asha, these are really relived trauma for the survivors that are in the room. And it's really heart-wrenching to have them talk about what they experienced there. And I was thinking in that moment that here we are in Kamloops, and this is sacred land. This is their traditional territory, and it was here that this whole process started with the initial discovery of the 215 children at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School, which I don't like to call a school. I think I've talked, other reporters have said that as well. These were institutions of assimilation and genocide. That's what they were. And we've always known as First Nations people, and it was a part of the TRC hearings. Survivors talked about it. They were not believed. And now we have the proof. This ground penetrating radar has given us evidence. It has given us undisputable truth that genocide has happened, and that our most vulnerable, our little ones, our little innocent children, were the subject of that. It's really a difficult space to hold. And one of the first things I did before I started speaking was I talked about breathing, everybody, putting their hands over their hearts and breathing into that heart space, because we have to have extraordinary love and care as we move through this, for survivors, for intergenerational trauma survivors, and for all Canadians who are really feeling all of these feelings with us and going through this with us. We have many allies across Canada, and I'm really grateful for them standing shoulder to shoulder with us as we walk through this.
Yeah, allyship, so important here. And we did hear some stunning details. I mean, children were made to dig graves in the apple orchard. A child's bone was found on the site. What kind of impact will these details make, you think, moving forward?
Well, these are crime scenes. Chief Cadmus Delorme talked about that in Cowasses, and these are crimes against humanity. These are crimes against children. And those crimes have to be further investigated. And those crimes have to be punished. The people responsible have to be held accountable. And a part of that is the federal government's colonial policies that led to the establishment of these institutions. And that is the difficulty, because we also need the federal government to be our partners, to be our willing partners, to work with us, to stand with us, to move through this. But the conflict of interest is real with the federal government. And so it's a multi-layered, complicated process. But as First Nations, we're committed to being relentless and walking forward and making sure that there is a healing path, not only for survivors and intergenerational trauma survivors, but for all Canadians. It's absolutely essential that we're all committed to healing.
Appreciate speaking with you, Chief Archibald. Take care.
Thank you very much, Asha. Take care.